I think the first time you shared a ring with Jeff, and I might have this wrong, so I want you to think back and see if this is right. It would have been a shotgun Saturday night when you were teaming up with Owen in Bakersfield, California, to take on the Hardy Boys. You guys went 5 minutes and 10 seconds. This is before the Hardys were the Hardys. I mean, they are young, up and coming whippersnappers. Again, this is March 14th, 1999. So WrestleMania 15 territory. That's where we were. Do you think that's the first time you were in the ring with them, or had they done enhancement matches with you before? Or what do you recall about meeting Jeff Hardy?
So, Marcus, pull that shot of Owen and Jeff up one more time. I'm going to ask Conrad a question. Zoom in.
Oh, I already know what you're going to say. Vanilla Ice.
Okay. So the first time I met Matt and Jeff, and this is 1994. We have, but I'm pretty sure it's 1994. And this is when, I got there at the end of 93 and, the Double J push and all that. But back in those days, we did Raw on Mondays every 3 weeks. And we did Superstars on Tuesday, 3 weeks worth of taping. And Wednesdays would be 3 weeks worth of challenge tapings. Challenge tapings and Superstars were their enhancement matches. And that was when, at that time, I'll just say Scott Hall, he was taking me under his wing, so to speak, and Kevin, and I'd known Sean for years, but, we were not just traveling together, but, just hanging out. That was kind of the group. But I remember getting to TV and hearing Scott Hall come in and him basically saying who he wanted to work with on Tuesday and Wednesday. And he would say, hey man, I want Ice. I want Ice. I want that kid. I want this guy. And it was, I'm like, oh, okay. So there's kind of a trick to the trade. Scott's going to hand pick his enhancement guy.
I love that.
That was like a little learning lesson. Like you go, I'm like, okay, he's going to make the bad guy look really good because he could do all of his stuff. And Jeff, spectacular bump taker. But I can remember Scott would, people that really know Scott don't mind telling a story, the same story a couple of times. But Scott he was into, okay, he's a good bump taper, but he's like, hey man, that dude's got charisma. That there is about that guy. That he's got charisma. He's got charisma. So hearing Scott call him, Jeff call him, hey, I want Ice and this and that, and kind of handpicking, that's when I first noticed Jeff. And I'm like, man, Scott's right. And I was just, at that stage of my career, show up, whoever, Tony Gurria or Rene Goulet or Chief Jane Strongbow, whatever agent, however it happened, I just, okay, this is who you're working with. Okay. I'm, maybe Bruce was pairing things up. I don't know, but I'm like, okay, I'll go to the ring and have the best enhancement match I can have with whatever opponent they give me. But Scott taught me that go after a guy you want. And that's the first time I laid eyes on Jeff, watched Jeff. And Scott was right. He has the charismatic enigma. And I know we're just talking about it, so I'm not getting out of chronological order. Jeff, to me, and I have said this, and this is a professional comment on him, but if you went up to any fan over the last 30 years, would you say, man, that Jeff Hardy, what a hell of a promo guy? No, probably not. Hey, Jeff Hardy, man, what a great in-ring wrestler, if you will.
General, yeah.
Nah, probably not. But there is something about, and in the people in the music industry totally dial into this, the uniqueness sets him apart. He is charisma, uniqueness, like The Rock. Oh man, he's a great talker and movie star looks and this and that. We could go down the line of, Hogan, Say Your Prayers, all the different. Jeff's uniqueness and relatableness, and I do him this is what attracted me him as man to man. His human nature, his energy sets him apart. And I think that has been his cash card, calling card, ticket to success, is that I think people can look in his soul and go, that dude is cool. I like him. And you cannot bottle that up. It's hard to even describe, but the proof is in the pudding.
Yes.
He is a megastar over the last 30 years. And when he walked on stage last week in Bridgestone, the building erupted. I mean, it's really that simple.
It's what's interesting about Jeff is you're right. He does have, Vince McMahon used to talk about the airport test. Can the guy walk through the airport and people say, I don't know who that is, but that's somebody. And Jeff, I think a lot of times when Vince was applying that principle, he meant they're as tall as Kevin Nash or the Big Show or the Andres or the Hulk Hogan's. But when you meet Jeff, hey, I don't know who that is, but that's somebody. There's something about him, and maybe it's the crazy hair, or maybe it's the crazy earrings, or maybe it's the crazy tattoo, or maybe it's the crazy way he dresses, or the crazy way he moves, but there's something about him that's different. And I think one of the things that has resonated and made him such a long-lasting star is because people who do maybe feel like they're different are attracted to him because he embraces and leans into what makes him different. Does that make sense?
But you always put into words that is, when you look at Jeff and get to know him on a much deeper level, you begin to ask more questions than you have answers. But at an early age, Matt and Jeff lost their mother, and just the I'll call it the gentle soul. I think he's always carried that 12, 13, 14-year-old little boy in him, and it comes out. It's getting a little deep there, but he's not just different, because I think you can be different and be an asshole. I think you can be different and be aloof. I think you can be different and quirky and weird or whatever it may be. I just think there's different shades of being different. But that's why I always like to say Jeff is unique in a very, very positive way. He is unique. And when you see that uniqueness, climb to the top of a scaffold or the top of a ladder, and the other night off the top of the rope, swanton through a table, there's something about Jeff knows how to create moments, man, just by he's got that ability, creating moments. And when I can remember being in the studio, TNA, when you kind of put a clip reel together of magical moments that happened, man, you have to almost go to a challenge. Hey, man, we got too much Jeff Hardy in here, but he knows how to climb to the top of the rope or the top of the ladder, or top of scaffolding, whatever, pause, look at the people, let it soak in. You kind of feel you feel his emotion. And like you said, Conrad, I never thought of it that way. Jeff has an endearment that everyone, I believe, taking a breath at some point, you feel, man, I'm different. I don't belong here. And Jeff kind of
he embodies it and he embraces it, and he's successful because of it.
Yeah.
So instead of that differentness making him feel less than, his differentness makes him feel better than. And I think a lot of people who maybe take that feeling of, oh, I'm different, they feel less than, like, oh, I don't fit in. But it's kind of cool that Jeff doesn't fit in.